Hey folks, Adam here, and I'm with Amy. We're in Shenzhen, China, and we're going to give you a whole list of things that you need to know before visiting China. Amy, do you want to give them a preview of some of the topics?
So we're going to try to give you a rundown of all the things that we have learned over our past whirlwind trip to China that might make your trip a little easier and more enjoyable. We are going to talk about these super apps and the payment system that you're going to want to set up before you get to China. We're also going to tell you how to use your cell phones in China, how to, what you need as far as your outlets, how to get around, transportation, what you can expect, all about the food, the culture, so much more.
Yeah, so make sure to click subscribe to be eligible for all of our giveaways. Click subscribe, leave a comment. You can be eligible for a lot of fun stuff that we have giveaways. And let's go ahead, check it out, and kick it off right about now.
So the first thing obviously is getting to China. And for that, you are probably going to need a visa. I definitely suggest that you should get a tourist visa. It takes a little bit longer. It's a little bit more of a process, more paperwork. But that tourist visa is going to allow you to come and go to China as many times as you want, and it lasts for 10 years. A business visa will only last for 60 to 90 days, depending on your particular visa. And China does have a new pass-through visa program.
Temporary visa.
That's a temporary visa that you can get, or you can come here without a visa, essentially. So, but that only lasts for 6 days. And I definitely recommend, if you're gonna come all the way to China, that you need to spend more than 6 days to explore this beautiful country. So don't be lazy, get the full visa, go through a visa company. We will maybe put that in the description, the exact company that we used. They were super helpful. They're not sponsoring us, but if you do need a little bit of help, and I definitely recommend just having someone that speaks the language and that can walk you through the program, is completely worth the expense. They will help you and get your visa to you on time, which is really, really fantastic. So I suggest getting a visa, but don't be intimidated by the process. I think I was a little bit scared that going through immigration and customs, getting into China would be a little bit of a frightening process. Turns out it wasn't. It was so easy, it was so smooth, it was just like every other country in the world. Maybe the biggest difference being that the immigration officers were actually really nice. They were smiling, they were friendly, they were kind, they put us at ease. And there was even a little check box like you would see almost at a restaurant or somewhere in the US, how was our service today? Was it frowny face, smiley face? They are obviously being rated and are trying to give you a great experience, welcoming you into their country, which was a cool cultural experience. I think going into the US, even as an American citizen, I do not ever feel welcome, coming back or returning home. I feel like,
thanks, Atlanta.
You get the worst experience. All of our experience going through immigration in China was really, really smooth and very friendly. So if you're intimidated by that, don't be. Just fill the paperwork out, get your visa, and go, just like anywhere else. Don't let that be a limiting factor to exploring one of the coolest countries I've ever been to.
When you come through the gates, when you come through immigration and customs, they will ask you a series of, or they'll have you fill out a form, right? And Amy had a couple mistakes on the form yesterday. So despite having errors on her form, you put maybe the wrong phone number of contact information and the wrong name, took an extra minute where why do you have wrong information? That's kind of a red flag, so it took an extra minute.
This is not a phone number, this is the wrong number of digits. And I was like, oh no.
Yeah, but regardless, they figured it out pretty quickly. We're nice about it. It maybe took an extra, I would say maybe 2 to 3 minutes in actuality. Seemed like forever, but it really wasn't a big deal. I passed right through every time I've been through customs without an issue. And again, I actually was just making another video about our China process, and I put that URL on screen because I thought they did a really good job of the visa service we used in the United States. We just had to mail our passports to Washington, D.C. They got a little page on there that was a visa that they pretty much glue on, and it made it very easy, very trusted, and I think using a good service like that does take some of the guesswork out of visa work and passports.
Absolutely. So next thing about China, what you should know, or what I think I wondered is, how expensive is it?
What is
is this going to cost me? And I would say one great thing about coming to China is that the airlines flying to China are relatively inexpensive.
Yes.
Like if your business class flight to Germany is 6,000 or 7,000, it's like 3,000 to China.
Yeah.
So even though it's a longer flight, coming here, you can expect to spend significantly less on airfare.
If you're using a Chinese airline.
Right. And your hotels, I think, significantly less than the United States.
Yes.
Maybe expect to spend half as much or maybe even a third as much as you would in the United States.
Are you tired of searching for that perfect hotel? Well, stop right there. Plannin.com is your one-stop shop for hotel bookings. With just a few clicks, explore the vast selection of accommodations up to 40% off rates. Tailored to meet your needs and budget, recommended by travel creators and pros. Whether you're planning a romantic getaway, a family vacation, or a business trip, Plannin.com has got you covered with over 2 million hotels worldwide. And guess what? By booking through Plannin.com, you can unlock exclusive deals and discounts, some of the best rates available, more money for your adventures. That's what that means. Plus, user-friendly filters help you find your ideal stay with cozy boutique hotels or maybe luxurious resorts like this. So why wait? Sign up for a free Plannin profile through the link in our description below. You can get up to 40% off hotels worldwide and take the stress out of your travel planning. Adventure awaits, and it starts with the perfect stay. That's Plannin.com, where your journey begins. We're staying in a very classy Hilton that has a great view of the city, etc., etc.
On the water.
On the water, in a suite.
Right.
What was the price per night for this room?
With taxes, fees, everything included, $190.
$190, all included.
That includes breakfast, it includes afternoon high tea, and it includes a 2-hour happy hour in the evening. That's
Access to the lounge.
Yeah.
So all sorts of upgrades. This has a gorgeous
lobby.
It has a conference center. I think present day in a big city, you'd pay $400 to $500 a night
Maybe
for the
more.
equivalent
Yeah,
easily.
for
It could be $800 if you're like in New York something.
Right.
Even in a Tampa, I think you're going to pay at least $400 to $500. So this was an absolute bargain, and I know you could get $100 rooms pretty easily in a nice skyscraper of a hotel. I don't think you could get that in some other locations.
No, for sure. So your hotels are going to be a lot less expensive. I think food in general is less expensive as well. If you go out to a nice restaurant, you can have appetizers, your meal, desserts, drinks, and everything would maybe be $30, $40. So a lot less than the US. Taxis and cabs are also really, really affordable, like super cheap.
Yeah.
Even a 2-hour cab ride is like $60, $70 through traffic.
We did a 5 to 10 minute cab ride to the ferry, and it was $2. They ripped us off a little bit on the way back, and it was like $8. But still, even being ripped off, I didn't feel like it was that bad that I paid $8 instead of American prices. I don't think you're going to get in a cab and spend less than 20 or 30.
So,
realistically.
You know what surprised me though? Surprisingly, textiles and goods and clothing I have not found to be less expensive here.
Sure.
In fact, I would say probably a little bit more expensive. If you go to a shopping mall and you're shopping for things that I think in the United States maybe, okay, that dress would be $40, $50, it's maybe $70, $80 in China. So kind of a little bit not what I expected. I thought, oh man, if we're in China, we're gonna really be able to do some shopping, get some great deals, get some, some shoes and some clothes, and I did not find that to be the case. I thought everything was a little bit more expensive than I expected it to be. And certainly China's luxury good market is red hot. So if you're coming here to shop for luxury goods and get a bargain, you're not gonna find that you cannot do that either.
So I think we've become accustomed to being able to pick things up on Shein, Temu, Amazon, etc., and get a shirt for $10, for $15, for $20, whatever. When we went to the mall, I know I looked for the first store I went to, I looked for a kind of a cool t-shirt, and it was $60, $70. This dress shirt, sorry, I didn't mean to touch the microphone. This dress shirt was probably 110. Clothing has been more expensive than what we're used to. I think if we go to a big mall and go to a nice store, you're going to pay similar, but we expected a little bit better deals considering that China is kind of the mecca of textiles.
Right.
And we didn't notice it to be particularly cheaper in the stores that we went to, which may have been touristy, nicer malls, but there's a lot of nice malls here.
Yeah.
I was very surprised at how many high-end malls and shopping experiences there are to be had in every city, because we've been to several cities, and every place has a bunch of malls. I think high-end shopping is something they do a lot of here, because there are a lot of Chinese people with money.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not like if you have this perception that the Chinese people don't have money, there are Chinese people with money. There are crazy rich Asians to be had.
Yes, after coming to China, I am convinced that they are a little bit more capitalist than we are in the United States.
They like money.
So now that we know kind of what you're working with as far as your budget and what you can expect for prices, you need to know how to pay for things.
So how do you pay?
And that is really, really cool. One of my most favorite things about traveling in China is just how convenient everything has been, and that's all thanks to super apps. And if you don't know what a super app is, imagine if all of the apps that you use every day on your phone were in one app. Mm-hmm. So instead of having Uber and then having your food delivery and then having your calculator and everything is all in one app. So those are WeChat and Alipay are going to be the two big ones. WeChat is like a WhatsApp. And
it's a messenger program at its core.
And social media, you can update your story and you can talk to your friends and kind of have your profile.
Update your pictures on your social media.
Right. All in one. I highly recommend downloading WeChat before you get to China.
Absolutely.
And also verifying it, because it's a little bit hard to, like, they really keep the bots out. They keep the fake people out. So you have to be verified. So it might take a little
couple
bit
days
of work, a couple of days. So you want to make sure that you do that before you get to China, just to make sure everything runs smoothly. You can input your American credit cards, no problem, and then you can use that as your payment system. You will either use the scanner inside of WeChat or your QR code, and the merchant will scan your phone, and that's how you pay for everything.
Yeah, China has a cashless society. Let me say that again.
For all intents
China
and purposes,
has a cashless society. So when you go to even a street vendor, the street vendor will scan your QR code. You'll type in the amount you want to pay. It'll transfer that from if you've set up your credit card or your bank account, it'll transfer that over to that person. That could be a street vendor, that could be McDonald's, that could be Pizza Hut, that could be a fancy restaurant. You're going to use, there's two main ways of using that, WeChat and Alipay. And all you're going to do is go in there, press in the amount, scan either their code or they scan your code, put the amount you're going to transfer one way or the other. Other than this hotel, which is an American brand, we haven't seen credit cards. Nobody's taken credit cards. Nobody has taken cash. In fact, one person told me they haven't seen cash in 5 years. And I don't know if I skipped ahead to a future topic, but the super apps, imagine if you have Facebook, but Facebook is your primary means of paying for things.
And getting a cab and translating.
All of it in there.
Yeah, really, really cool.
So it's kind of a super Facebook, maybe not as much focused on social media. You can post pictures and updates, but it's more your everyday life, what you're using to get through it. In fact, they're using your social media programs like that even when you go to a doctor visit.
Yeah.
You can have interaction with the doctor, you can have video calls with the doctor, you can call the doctor. And a lot of times with WeChat, somebody, if they just want to voice message you or call you, they're using that WeChat.
Yeah, it's
your super app, and you're going to need it to get around in China, period. So get it downloaded if you're going to China. They're not sponsoring us. That's just a fact.
It's very, very convenient. Especially WeChat is going to be imperative for communication. Alipay is also really convenient, especially if you don't speak Chinese, because there is a translate button right in the app. So it makes it very easy to translate menus, to translate just what's going on in your payment process, so you have a little more confidence. So I liked Alipay for that. and I like WeChat for communicating with locals.
Yeah. With Alipay, if you say you sit down at KFC, McDonald's, or a local restaurant, some hot pot, you'll sit down at the table. We'll talk more about this later. You will scan the QR code on the table. That'll bring up the menu. You can press a button, translate it to English, and then you order your items right on the app, and they bring it to that table. And you pay for it with that app. So it's a very convenient method, but you really can't survive here without a smartphone and without one of these apps. Probably both of them.
Absolutely. So just as an aside, I wanted to add in, I don't even have this on my notes, but I was thinking, since we're talking about payments, restaurants, all that kind of stuff, tipping is not really a part of Chinese culture. So you're not expected to tip. There probably won't be a line for tipping unless you're like us and you're in an American hotel. They might try to add that in. But otherwise, I haven't even seen the option for tipping. And
people are just friendly. They don't expect
right.
answers.
And I think it can even be considered mildly offensive if you are trying to like hand something to your, like the bellboy or something. Like they don't want that, especially because you're not really gonna have cash here anyway. So let's see. Our next point after our super apps. On the super app, there's going to be a little thing called Didi, and Didi is China's equivalent of Uber. It's where you can get all of your taxis.
Yeah. And
again, taxis are very inexpensive, and you can have the option of choosing a 6-seater if you have a big group of people, or a luxury vehicle, or just a regular taxi. Some of the regular taxis are, depending on your preferences, you might want to go up for the luxuries. We saw some regular taxis that was like, oh, you don't have seatbelts, or this smells a lot like cigarette smoke, or this is a little more.
You might want to do the upgrade.
Yeah,
if that matters to you.
If that matters
to you. If
to
you want seatbelts and no smoking, do the upgrade.
And if you do the upgrade, you can expect to be completely wowed by some of these vehicles.
They're fancy.
They are super fancy. Oftentimes, electric vehicles, brands that we've never heard of in the United States. You're gonna have your Voss water and your leather seats with massagers in them, and just
they had massagers
really
in the
cool
seats
stuff.
in the van we took from the airport.
Yeah, a lot of them are really, really impressive. Another thing that China has that we don't have that are pretty cool are the high-speed trains.
Yeah.
So this can not only get you around certain cities, but it can also connect you to different cities
DD
as
app.
well.
Yeah.
And for locals, they can do this all on the Trip app, which is another kind of super app, but it's more for locals. So you have to have a local Chinese number to use that one. If you are a foreigner, you will have a special line, and you can purchase your train tickets in that special line when you get there. So if you are not a local, if you're like us, just go get in line. They'll be happy to help you with your train tickets. Don't try to do any kiosk or do it on the app.
Sure.
But high-speed trains are really, really impressive, and they can connect you city to city or throughout the city really conveniently and really, really cheaply. So if you're on a budget, that's a great option as well. You're also going to be able to choose electric bikes. You'll see those.
Yeah, you can rent those.
Throughout every city, and all you have to do is take your phone out, scan the QR code on the bike. It will automatically charge you, and you can drop it off wherever you like. Super convenient as well. They also have chargers that you can use pretty much everywhere.
Local
You want to
chargers.
talk about that?
Yeah, so
I think that's pretty
on
cool.
a lot of the city streets, because you have to have a smartphone, I think the government and everyone realizes we got to have chargers everywhere. So they'll have those little battery packs with USB-C on them, and throughout the city you can just pop in. It'll be like at a stop sign at a red light, it'll be in a mall, it'll be in an entryway at a floor of a hotel, and you just pop out the little charger, charge your phone, and you can charge that to your phone. It's cents. It's very cheap. So if you have a low battery in China, literally everywhere there are little charger battery packs that you can plug to your phone, charge your phone, then push it back into the kiosk. Very convenient. I think you see it a little bit in the US, something similar at airports, but you don't get to keep the charger. You just have to plug in right there. So it's very convenient, and then you just put your charger back when you're done with it.
It's
Genius.
really, really nice. It's made me feel a lot more comfortable when I get that battery anxiety, like, oh no, my phone's gonna go dead, and it just knowing that there's chargers basically everywhere is really nice. It's a great thing.
Unfortunately, I feel like sometimes with technology in the United States, if there's a smart car driving by itself or a robot or a charger, somebody will ruin it by destroying it. Where here, I think you can't get away with that.
Right.
And so thankfully, we all benefit from maybe it being a little more strict on things like that.
That's true.
Just don't break those rules.
So, one thing that I think we all know about China is that it's huge, and there's a huge population. But actually seeing it here really put that in perspective for me. Do not come to China and think that you are not going to be in a huge crowd. Pretty much everywhere. There are so many people. So many people on your elevator, so many people in crowds, so many people on the street. It's a very, very crowded place. So be ready for that, and maybe mask again are a good thing just for being in huge crowds of people.
Yeah, if you're traveling to a country you're not used to all the germs.
Yeah, wear a mask, hand sanitize. There's just a lot of people. Be ready for that. Have your patience on. Because it's huge. I think one of the things is just realizing the scale. For example, we visited Shandy for a few days, and to me, Shandy is a very large city.
Yeah.
Like a very large city, and all of our hosts kept telling us that this was a small little town. Like, look how quaint it is. That building only has 4 stories. And it's just nowhere near what we would consider
We were in
being
a 20-story
town.
hotel in what they call small town.
Yeah.
Makes no sense to us because to us that would be a major city. That would be a
They
Tampa
kept saying
equivalent.
like,
That would be a
it's so nice to get out of the city and visit this.
Tallahassee-sized city, bigger, way more tall buildings.
Right.
Like you see right here, these tall buildings behind us are only a fraction. This isn't a downtown area. This is just a couple hotels over by the water. The amount of skyscrapers and large buildings that I've seen on this trip eclipses the total number I've seen in the U.S.
Right. It's like the suburban
life.
sprawl is just more skyscrapers.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You might have 30 exact same apartment complexes that are 25 stories just lined up in the suburbs.
It's
Because
wild.
there's just a lot of people.
Yeah. So tell me more about the lights on the buildings too. What you can expect.
the lights are
Because that was
fantastic.
pretty cool, right?
So what was the first city we traveled to? Shandy?
The first city we were in was Hangzhou.
Hangzhou. So Hangzhou, for example, and hopefully I'll be able to show some of that in different overlays, the entire side of the river, every little skyscraper would light up. And if I show it on screen, you'll see one batch, right? But then maybe there's a little break, and then there's another batch and another batch. And the LEDs on the side of these buildings, like the ones you have behind you, would all light up together in sequence. And once an hour or so, they would put on a show. And whether it would be soccer going back and forth or something about the Olympics or an advertisement, whatever it is, the entire cityscape would light up like that. We could only see what's in front of us, but over on the side, as you look down the river, there's more and more of it. And then on our side of the river, the buildings are lighting up as well. The United States, I don't know that we'd be able to get all the building owners to agree to one big light show very often.
Right.
But imagine what you see on Fremont Street in the sky, but all the buildings. And I think you'll see more LED lights on buildings in the United States as the years go by. In 10 years, because the technology is there already. Obviously, they're doing it in many cities here. But you're going to be able to put advertising on buildings more often, and you're just going to see more and more of it. We may light up a building or a bridge. They light up in sequence the entire city.
Everything.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It looks like every city is Las Vegas, like on steroids. It's just really, really cool.
Amazing.
It's very fun. So another thing that I think you should know and surprised us is we've heard this phrase several times on our trip is that there's no dress code in China.
No dress code in China.
And
That's true.
it is not what I thought going in. I researched and I kind of Googled and I was like, what should I wear in China? Like what is appropriate? And Google told me, cover your knees. It's a very conservative society. Cover your shoulders. No cleavage. No, like just be very respectful. And maybe that's true in some rural villages, but every city that I visited in China, I've been surprised to see that that is not the case. Even in corporate environments, you've seen cleavage, you've seen midriffs, you've seen a full gambit of all sorts of clothing choices, everything from sweatpants to evening gowns, and evening gowns worn with sneakers. It's really all over the place. You can definitely wear whatever you want, whether it's pajamas and slippers out to dinner,
Right.
or your nicest kind of like a tutu ballerina dress with your sneakers. It's great. I love it.
We went to testing and lab facilities for major tech companies as part of our product review channel, 911 Reviews. And there were a lot of people in the lab doing things, and they were just in very casual clothes that you can take a nap in. We've been out at parks, and we've been out in business areas, and guys are wearing midriffs where their bellies are hanging out. Not too often, but I've seen it 3 or 4 times. And I believe, like, if you are a big wig business person, you're probably wearing a collar and shirt. But a lot of people, mid-level workers, there isn't much of a dress code for.
It's very interesting. It's definitely
Wear what's comfortable. It's hot, like in this area of China, it's 95 degrees, so why wear something uncomfortable? The Chinese work day, from what we can tell, starts at 9 a.m., ends about 6 p.m. for most kind of blue-collar workers, most everyday workers, and there's a 2-hour lunch built in the middle where you can take a nap, and it's expected that you take a nap. So a lot of people wear stuff that you could comfortably nap in.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Well,
I'm
that's
excited
pretty
about it. I
awesome.
wish I could take in fact, I do sometimes.
That is true. So alongside of our dress code, I was definitely interested to see, and I don't know if I want to say surprised. I guess I just had no idea going into what to expect in China as far as gender equality. And by far not an expert, but the things that I saw on this trip, I definitely felt like we met so many incredible, empowered women that were CEOs and scientists and just like boss ladies,
Yeah.
highly, highly educated and just running the show here in China. And that was really incredible and refreshing to see.
In one business, we went to a tech company, and the lady in charge of international sales in the U.S., Chinese female, probably in her 30s. We went to another company, a marketing agency. The lady who hosted us, female, probably in her 30s.
Yeah.
A lot of the workers in call centers that we met, and everyday workers, women, and I haven't noticed a lot of gender inequality. That doesn't mean that it isn't there,
Right.
but from what we have seen, there's a lot of women in very professional business roles. The person with
highly
the linen
educated.
company that we met with, it was an entire female team except for one. So yeah, it seems like there's quite a bit of educated women who are fulfilling a number of jobs.
Right. And in positions of leadership, which are really,
It's great.
really,
Yeah.
really cool.
Like any society, maybe it's not
Yeah.
completely equal, but it was. We didn't notice a disparity. there.
Right. I think sometimes in the West, there's a negative stereotype of Asian women of being very cutesy and quiet and subservient and just like, shy. And I didn't see that. I saw very outspoken women that were leaders and very assertive and authoritative and taking those types of leadership roles that maybe we wouldn't stereotypically think of for Chinese women.
And still
So
very
that was
friendly
really
and
cool.
wonderful people.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't like they were
Right.
business people, and they were still wonderful to get along with.
Absolutely. So another thing that you should know before you come to China, huge pivot here, but you should probably carry with you like a little thing of tissues or napkins.
Oh.
This is because in a lot of public toilets, you might not find toilet paper.
Have you noticed toilets not having toilet paper?
Yes.
Okay. I didn't know.
Yes. Some do, some don't. In more tourist areas, in more high-end areas, you'll find normal toilets or what we call normal toilets, I guess, sit-down toilets and toilet paper. In other areas, and definitely areas when you're out exploring, maybe you want to go to a temple, maybe you want to go to a park, something that's more traditionally Chinese. Do not expect to find toilet paper there, so just have a little thing of tissues with you. That also extends, I think, to a lot of fast food places and restaurants and street food places. They're not going to give you a napkin. You're not going to be able to just walk up and grab a handful of napkins like you could at Wendy's. That's just culturally not there. You're supposed to provide your own, have your own.
If you go to an American fast food place, they'll usually give you some. But a
I
traditional
was
Chinese
thinking more
place,
like
you won't.
street food,
Yeah, no,
fast
I
food
was agreeing
here.
with you.
Yeah. So that's just something you should carry
Get a
with
little
you.
carrying box with some tissues.
No big deal. Also, you want to tell them about the toilets? Because I think those are so cool.
Okay, so I think you would do a better job of describing these. You've seen them more. I've only seen one or two. But a lot of places will have an option of two types of toilets, and some will have more what I call the squatty potties, which is essentially a place for your feet and a hole in the ground. You squat over it. So yeah, you probably are more the expert in that because I have not used them.
I've seen that I think men restrooms have more urinals.
Yes.
And in the women's restrooms, you're going to find the squatty potties.
Yes.
They probably have a better name. But it sounds super primitive to say hole in the ground because they're still
Still porcelain.
it's like a porcelain toilet bowl. It's just in the ground.
So floor level.
Yeah, floor level. So you'll have kind of a little area with some grip on it that you put your feet, you squat, hole, it flushes automatically.
Does it?
Yeah, and I think it's very, it's just a super
They say
hygienic
it's more
way.
sanitary, more hygienic because you're actually
Right.
not touching anything.
Yeah, I think it's much less gross than having to hover or cover up a seat with some weird
Yeah, you're just
tissue
not touching
paper. You're just not touching
You're not
it
flushing
at all.
anything. You're not touching.
You don't touch anything. You walk in. Your feet are the only thing on the ground. It's great. I think it's great. I love it. It's
People who
a
can't
culture-
squat down, if you have physical limitations, you need to find a restroom that has an actual bowl.
Right.
Like if you can't squat, you're out of luck. So you need to go find someplace else.
So it's something to just note. I guess it was a little bit of culture shock, but it's something that I quickly realized I like, and I like that system.
I think, honestly, where I've seen in more public restrooms that'll have both, it's almost like they'll have one old school toilet, which is
Right.
almost like the handicap stall.
Yeah, it's true. So massages here. We got to experience a
We did do
massage,
a group massage.
and it's a little bit different than what you would expect in the United States. You want to talk about
right.
that?
So we had a business meeting, and after the business meeting, and then we went to dinner. One of the representatives let's go get a massage. Very commonplace in Chinese culture, in business culture, family culture, to go get a massage together. Not what we would expect.
Right.
So we walk in, and first thing, there's a lobby with a buffet. You don't expect a small buffet of hors d'oeuvres when you get to a massage parlor, but that's what we experienced, right?
Yeah.
So we're downtown in a city, and we all go to the 6th floor, pretty big building. We get a buffet, and it's like noodles and rice and some pork, and there's literally a chicken chopped up with the head, beak and all, sitting there. It was pretty picked over because it was right before it was going to close. But you can have some snacks and some tea, and then they set up the room and you get your massage. Mm-hmm. They walked us down the hallway, we sit down, and then they brought us all pajamas.
Yeah.
So I'm with a group of about 6 people.
Yeah.
6 people. And they bring us all pajamas and say, go ahead and change. Now they've got some locker rooms and some restrooms. What's interesting about this, you're with your business partners, you're supposed to change in front of them. Even I, who am very comfortable with myself, was a little put back. I just met these business partners, and I'm supposed to change clothes in front of them. So we all look at our lockers and we change our clothes. We weren't looking at each other, so I don't know what happened, but I just changed clothes real quick, came back, and you're sitting on almost lay recline, almost like a lazy boy. That electric opens up. Then you get a massage. Each person has a massage partner, a male or female. Could be one or the other. I had a female with me. Did you? You had a female as well, right? I mean, all of us but one had a female. And you get your massage for an hour. Is there anything noteworthy about the massage?
Well, 2 things. One is that since you were in this group massage setting, it's not really customary for you to be quiet. I think
Sure.
spas in the United States are very like they're whisper. It's a very individual process.
That's how I treated it.
It's very quiet. I think that people were surprised that we weren't like talking business more and that we weren't
Sure.
all chatting because it's kind of an extension of your business meeting or it's where
Yeah, you
deals
can-
are made. It's where
There were
you're chatting.
ashtrays and potential for snacks.
Yeah.
You're getting massaged. If you're on your back, you could be on your phone or you could be talking to the person next to you because it's a row of chairs where you're all getting massaged together.
So I think that's culturally very different. Pretty cool way to do a business meeting, honestly. I like that a lot.
Break up after a long flight or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and secondly, in traditional Chinese massages, it's kind of expected for it to hurt a little bit. Like it's not considered effective if it's not a little bit
getting
painful.
in the muscle?
Like you really have to get in there. So I think there was a few times I almost had to call it
I
because it
called
was
it.
just
I was like,
oh
lighter,
my goodness,
lighter.
like
I'd have our Luhan tell him lighter, like our
Yeah.
friend who's Chinese, to be like a little bit lighter on him. He's a little wimpy.
Yeah.
Because they aren't used to somebody, they said like, they
Yeah,
thought my
she's
back
like-
was a little muscular and she was really trying to
just
push in
trying
the
to,
muscles.
like, yeah, it was rough.
I didn't love it. Didn't love
It
it.
was rough. So expect that if you do choose to get a traditional Chinese massage. Another thing that you might come across when you're in Asia is what's called a blind massage.
What is a blind massage?
So a blind massage is a traditional Chinese massage, but the masseuse is blind or has some sort of impairment to their eyesight. It's actually a pretty cool program if you think about it. In 1985, the government in China realized that it was difficult for blind people to find jobs. And one thing that they decided, you know what, like a great job for a blind person might be massage therapist.
Sure.
So they had a special program, lots of schools. Now it's like 80% of blind people in China are employed as massage therapists. And
Say blind people are more effective with their hands, better with
Right.
senses other
Yeah.
than seeing, so it works out. We have not had a blind massage yet, have we?
we have
That we know of.
that we know of, but I think we're going to do that at the airport today because
That's the goal. We got 25 hours of travel,
Yes.
so
so
why would we not?
we'll have plenty of time for that today, I think. So just interesting there.
I think the other thing is after the massage, they offered us fruit and snacks
tea.
and tea, and they had a TV in the front so we could all watch the same TV if we wanted to, or turn on the same music. And we had the remote control. One of us had the remote control, so you could listen to Lady Gaga if you wanted to. They had a whole bunch of pre-programmed Spotify type music, and you can pick the music you expect. Where I think when we think of Asian massage, we think of just very traditional Asian music playing in the background, quiet, like woo,
Yeah,
woo, and
right.
it was not like
yeah, one of our
you have
friends
Freddie Mercury going.
Yeah, one of our friends requested that. He was like, "How about just some, traditional Chinese music?" And I think we got just like a pop music
music from-
station. She was
from the
like,
90s.
"Okay, I guess we'll play Chinese music if you want."
You want Chinese
But-
music, whatever.
Yeah, but it was definitely like a pop station, which was funny that I think actually in China maybe it's not a given that your spa is going to play some nice relaxing music.
It's not the one we went to.
So let's talk about air quality because you can kind of see behind us.
It's a little foggy. I mean, that building is
Yeah.
not far away.
Right.
And you can see a little bit of fog in the air. Now, I don't know if that's, in fact, like, I'm going to take this just a little bit here. You should be able to see mountains over there, but you can't.
Is it fog? Is it smog?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we looked up the API, the air index, right? It was at 120, which is considered dangerous for people who have like asthma and stuff. When I looked up the equivalent day in where we're from in Florida, it was about 40.
Right.
That's a big stretch from good, safe, to red, bad. And like the scale goes pretty much to 150. So at least in our experience, looking at the API, the air quality was less than stellar. So if you have asthma, if you have issues, consider wearing a mask, particularly in the big cities, particularly in industrial cities. Again, I've only been here for a little bit of time. I can't criticize, but but I would say it seems like the air quality is lesser than what we're used to.
Yeah, I
Seems
think
like.
another good reason to just bring a mask with you anyway, in case you find that that's bothering you, or especially if you happen to be like asthmatic or have bad allergies or something, that could be something that's helpful for you.
For sure.
I do think that the electric cars, especially the
helping.
prevalence of them here, I think China's up to maybe like 60% of people are driving electric cars, and I'm hoping that
Yeah.
is something that will combat some of the air quality in the cities.
The stat we read was 60% of new car sales are electric in China. We went in Macau and we looked at electric cars. Even in Macau, which is an expensive area, there were $10,000 electric cars that you can buy. So there's economical cars. In the cities that we visited, one of the rules that we saw was that electric cars can drive 7 days a week, or gas cars get a number on their license plate and it can either drive on even or odd days to help with the air quality. So for anyone who's saying that infrastructure won't support electric vehicles, it will here. And it seems like it is helping. We've heard a lot of good things about the air quality has improved because they're switching in these big cities that are so crowded that the air is so dense and the air can't circulate. Switching over to electric cars has made a difference in the cities.
Right. Yeah. And I will say, just walking around the cities, it's a much more pleasurable experience when you don't have those exhaust pipes in your face and everything's a lot quieter. It's much quieter. Even with tons of traffic going by, it's just way quieter. It's just a better experience for pedestrians as well.
We've seen a lot of Teslas, but we've seen a lot of BYD cars, Build Your Dream, and a bunch of different brands we've never heard of. Probably they're not allowed to import into the United States, but there's a lot of electric car brands that are beautiful cars.
Yeah,
really
absolutely.
Beautiful cars and economical.
Right. So let's talk about safety in China. This has been one of my favorite things.
So is China safe?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I've felt more safe here than I think anywhere else in the world.
Wow.
I don't think like you can just leave your bag. You can leave your phone somewhere. You're not really worried too much even about like pickpockets or someone. Like,
yeah, I didn't feel worried about that.
It's a very safe society. It's, I think, overall a culture of honesty, and there are cameras literally everywhere. So I think, it keeps that in check if you have a strong police force, strong cameras. No one's gonna try anything,
Yeah.
There's no FOing, FAing.
Finding out?
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
We actually, and a couple times we said, oh, is it safe to leave my bag here? Or can I do this or that? The answer from the locals was, of course, it's China.
Yeah.
And that felt good.
Yeah.
That felt good. We're like, no, you don't steal things here.
It's China, yeah.
No, no.
When we went up to a counter to order something, Adam was gonna pick up his backpack, and they were just like, it's China, just leave your bag there. That was the answer for everything. Like, it's China. Like, why are you carrying that with you? Like, no, don't worry about it. It's China.
Yeah, that's nice.
Which is a nice feeling. It kind of lets you be able to relax and enjoy your travel a little bit more if you're not constantly afraid of someone taking your phone out of your hand.
Yeah.
We've been to countries like that before as well, and I will say that my stress level on this trip, even though we've been working and we've been meeting with clients and we've been doing a lot of stressful things, we've been doing a ton of travel, we've been on a new flight every 3 days, I have been less stressed just simply because I know that I'm not worried about someone stealing my stuff.
No offense, Colombia, but you need to crack down on some of that petty crime. Pretty rough there.
Looking at you, Barcelona.
Yeah, Barcelona.
Yeah. Along with the safety, I would say that the people in China are super, super nice. They are super friendly.
We had a very good experience, a wonderful experience.
Absolutely. I think people want to help you. They are very, very nice. And even if you don't meet a lot of locals that speak English, they are more than happy to interact with you using translation apps. And I think a lot of people want connection, and especially with Westerners, it's not very common, I think, sometimes to even see Westerners. So we did kind of get treated a little bit Like celebrities, certain places. You know, we had people coming up to us and asking like, "Oh, are you Russian or are you American? Like, what are you?"
Yeah.
Be ready for kind of a little bit for people to stare at you, especially children. I think, you know, just anybody that's different, you know, as you grow up to be an adult, you learn like, okay, don't stare, but kids don't know that. And every single kid, we're just like, look,
On
ah.
on the ferry, I had a kid who was not excited to sit next to me. I'm sitting on the ferry. They put our tickets separate from each other, so I'm sitting by myself, and this family has to sit next to me, and the mom tries to put the 7-year-old boy next to me, and he says, blah, blah, blah. I couldn't understand what he's saying because he's speaking Chinese, but I just hear him go, "White man!" And it's just like he did not want to sit in that seat, so mom had to sit next to me instead of the boy. Um, we're depending on the city, we're not that rare. People see foreigners, but it is still for kids. They may not have seen them before, and it'll be a double take.
Yeah. So it's fun. Just expect that. It's kind of cute. So speaking, I don't actually have this on the list, but I did want to kind of explain a little bit Chinese language. You can definitely use your translation apps to learn a little bit, but just know that the Chinese language is huge. It's varied. It's different. It's different by every region. Even
They can't understand each other in a lot of different
right,
languages.
and a lot of different regions. You know, just traveling to like a different state, it's like a completely different language. And I think oftentimes in the United States, we think about Chinese as either Cantonese or Mandarin, and it is so much more complex than that. That is such an oversimplification. It's almost like comical now that I've seen it in like play out. I think really, in the SARs, you're going to see more traditional Chinese, the Cantonese version. You're going to see more Mandarin in mainland China, which is the simplified characters. But even from there, different accents, completely different languages, completely different dialects. That just, it's a very, very vast language. And depending on where you're going, definitely download both the simplified and the traditional Chinese version. So you have both of those to be able to communicate a little bit better.
Fair. Yeah.
So let's talk about the food.
Oh.
What should you know about the food before you visit China?
You should know that there's a Five Guys Burgers in the Macau. And the Londoner has a In-N-Out burger that is really tasty.
Shake Shack.
Shake Shack.
Yeah.
Shake Shack burger.
Yeah.
Now, let's see. First and foremost, breakfast is going to be very different. There's a lot of noodle meals. There's a lot of pork-based meals. They, in many cases, find a way to put pork in things that you would never expect to see pork in.
Right.
Hot pot is a fun experience that you should, if you get the chance, you should do a hot pot. And there's definitely a lot of food, street food, and restaurants that they will sell you that are different than you would expect.
Yes.
You will see maybe a chicken beak or something, and you'll see a lot of duck tongue. There's a big
duck tongue
big
is
market
a
for duck
huge
tongue.
snack here.
There are chicken feet available in every gas station.
Every type of
Duck
liver,
feet.
kidney, intestines,
They're not afraid of using the whole animal.
stomachs. Yeah, for
But what
sure.
did you want to say with the food?
Well, the food has been absolutely delicious. It's
yeah, it's
been
great.
wonderful.
It's been a fun experience.
Yeah, do be adventurous with your eating. Try new things. You might be surprised at the stuff that you like. For example, I thought the frog has been really good.
I don't know if I've eaten as much of the frog as you have. I had
We've
a
had a
little
lot
frog.
of frog, yeah. So, just funny anecdote. Our host were ordering just some to-go food for us because we got to a hotel very late. We were on the way, we're driving, and they're like, we'll just have it delivered to your hotel, so you'll have it when you get there. So thank you so much, thank you. She asked, hey, I know you like shrimp, but what do you want with your shrimp? And I was like, but just shrimp's fine. Oh, no, we don't have an option for that. You can either get shrimp and chicken feet or shrimp and frog. Those are your two options. There's no option for just shrimp. No one would want just shrimp. That's crazy.
Weirdo.
That is crazy.
It just happened to be that restaurant,
yeah.
but that's funny.
That's what the kind of things that you might be able to expect a little bit on your menus here.
Yeah, and after we got our massage, the girls were like, hey, would you like to try hot pot? And I'm like, sure, let's try hot pot. It's 9 p.m. at night. We're about to go to bed. I wasn't even actually hungry yet. I had already eaten. So we go to the hot pot restaurant, and there's this boiling pot of water, and they did half and half, half just regular tomato spice, and the other one like spicy
Super
spice,
spicy,
right? Which
yeah.
was not as hot as some Asian spices. Like it's
Yeah.
hot, just
Yeah.
normal hot in the United States. It's the equivalent.
Right. It's not like Thai hot. It's
Just
a
hot.
little more subdued. Yeah.
So they bring you out different meats. Included in the meats, we have like spleen, I think. We have kidney. We have frog.
Pig brain.
Spoiler.
Oh, sorry.
Pig brain. I won't tell that story.
Well,
and
that
then,
was surprisingly good.
yeah, the pig brain was actually very soft. I think it was pig brain.
Yeah.
We don't know. It was brain. But they bring it to you raw. So you take this brain, you put it into a basket, and you dip it into the flavor you want. I think we did hot, just in case the pig brain was a little wonky tasting. Dip it in there, and you have to leave it in there for like 20 minutes and just let it cook, because you have to cook all the way into the brain. You don't want to eat raw brain. You take the basket out, and you can cut it up and serve everyone their piece of the brain. I think I got a cerebellum, she got a cerebrum, and they were both very soft and delicious. But there's a lot of fun foods. And in the hot pot restaurant, we had chicken feet. We had a variety of animals I can't even remember.
Yeah.
There was definitely intestines, a sausage, there was a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. That's great. Some tripe, like a cow stomach.
Then there's pizza.
Oh, my goodness. So, after your hot pot experience, the next day you wake
want-
up,
you want a
as
pizza,
one
you
does, and you see a Domino's, and you're like, thank goodness, like, thank you, there's a Domino's. That's all I want after.
That's all I want.
That's all I want after eating pig brain the night before. You want Domino's. Domino's all of a sudden
Just give me some bread.
the
Just give me some
best
bread.
thing on the planet. And then you go to Domino's.
And then you order, and you realize we ordered a volcano pizza. The volcano pizza was delicious and all. It was the volcano pizza, basically a cup of cheese, your pizza around it, overflowing with cheese, right?
Yes.
The standard pizzas there, we just ordered 2 or 3 standard pizzas, were all very different than what we're used to, where you would have some fish on it. You would have, what else would be on there other than the one that we're holding up to say, because you say it early.
The fruit, durian fruit.
Durian fruit,
Which-
stinky fruit.
Yeah. Century eggs and 1,000-year-old eggs.
Yeah, 1,000-year-old eggs on the pizza. A lot of eggs on things.
Yeah.
But the thing that surprised us, on 2 of the pizzas we ordered, Oreos.
Yeah.
Just Oreos on the pizza.
Just crushed up Oreos.
Crushed Oreos.
You gonna want Oreos on your pizza. I don't know.
They like Oreos. We like Oreos. We just
know.
never put them on pizza.
I don't know.
It surprisingly didn't go badly with the pizza.
It wasn't the worst thing
'Cause it
I've
was
ever
just
eaten.
sweet?
Yeah, it was just like, oh,
It's kind of like when you're like, oh, I had pineapple on pizza and it was sweet. I didn't expect it on there, but it was there.
Yeah.
Same thing. It was like, I didn't expect this Oreo on here. It was chocolatey. Wasn't bad, but I just didn't expect it.
kind of crunchy and yeah.
So they had crushed Oreos on standard, like, Supreme pizzas.
It's great.
So lots of fun stuff. We also, we went to a business meeting, and maybe because we were American, they decided to serve us Pizza Hut as a business meeting lunch. It was delicious.
It was Pizza Hut and sushi, which are
But I think the
maybe things that
sushi
don't
might have
go
been
together.
from Pizza Hut. Like when we went to
Oh,
Pizza Hut,
really?
there was a
No way.
lot of stuff that you wouldn't have in traditional American market.
Right.
The KFC we went to had their burgers were like they had a chicken sandwich that was shrimp that was flavored like hot pot, like a spicy, with very different flavoring than your traditional KFC. It was catered to, oh, do you like very spicy fish? We'll flavor it like that.
Yeah. It's
Different.
all very different, but I will say
Flavored to the local tastes.
The food culture in China was fascinating to see. It's very common to have private rooms in China, and we've experienced this all throughout Asia in general. I think it's more rare in the United States to have, like, maybe there's one private meeting room in a really nice restaurant or a gathering space. In China, it's very, very common. Even your mom and pop smaller restaurants are going to have
A place for family dining.
yeah. And
We've had a lot of family dining experiences too, where they bring out
right.
6 dishes and we all just pull at it.
Yeah, so that's what I was going to say. That what I've heard several times here is that in China, you want to make sure that there's food left over. Like it would be rude if everyone ate
There's been a lot of
everything.
food when we order.
Yeah, so a lot of times people will go into a restaurant and they'll say, "Give me one of everything on the menu," and they
Yeah.
just keep serving and serving and serving
Yeah.
and serving and serving. There's 41 dishes out there,
Yeah.
and in the United States, I think we might like everyone gets your own dish and you clear your plate.
Yeah.
And in China, we all share 40 dishes and
There's gonna be some
your
leftovers.
your host would maybe feel a little bit like, oh, I didn't do a good job or I didn't order enough if everything was eaten.
Yeah. Also, if you notice when you're eating, if there's 2 sets of chopsticks, one is for grabbing food from the community area and one is for eating. So you're not doing this.
Good system. Good system. So another thing that you will definitely need to know before you come to China, do you need a SIM card? Do you need an eSIM? What about the
So,
Great Firewall? Like, what
do
was
you
your
need
experience?
a SIM card?
Yes and
You
no.
did.
It depends on if Verizon lets you down or not.
Yeah, so Amy's had some issues with her phone, so it may be specific to her. Every time I've gone to a country, I have Verizon, I get a notification, it'll be $10 a day, and I can use the internet locally. In China, my Verizon works fine, 5G internet, I get 2 gigs of high speed, and after that, it throttles me down to 3G speed. It works just fine. Amy, for whatever reason, had to get an eSIM card because every time we travel overseas, your phone messes up. So you're ready to
Yeah.
upgrade your phone. But generally speaking, most people can come to these countries and just use their normal internet provider if you have a big company.
Right, which is
Verizon's
great.
been great for that for me.
Yeah. I'm not sure exactly how the firewall situation will work for you if you do not have an Apple phone. Apple phones will work on, you can still go to Facebook and WhatsApp and Instagram and YouTube and all of the things with your Apple device.
All right, we should explain that though. So for all intents and purposes, some of the American popular social media sites are blocked in China. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube are the examples that I'm familiar with. Probably Twitter too.
Google.
Google.com?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. However, when I use my iPhone with my Verizon network in China, they probably know I'm an American doing business and they give me access to those. So I have not experienced an issue until I get on some of the local Wi-Fi, not all of the local Wi-Fi, but some of the local Wi-Fi, and then suddenly I can't get onto the social media sites to do the work that I'm supposed to do. If you get a VPN, you can potentially access that. I'm not giving any advice one way or the other, but for all intents and purposes, if you're going to be using local internet, do not expect to access Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, etc.
Yeah. So I actually solved my problem by picking up an eSIM from AirAlo. It worked really, really well. I would definitely recommend that company. I've tried different eSIM companies in the past that I did not have great success with, but AirAlo has worked amazingly, had really great prices. It's been a lifesaver for me, especially it's imperative to be able to use WeChat and Alipay for everything. So I really, really needed that, and they came in clutch. It's worked perfect.
But check the local rules for what's
Yeah.
allowed. I'm not telling you to do something you're not supposed to do here in China.
Oh yeah. It uses
Check for local restrictions.
Yeah.
Okay,
sure.
what do we have for the next topic?
Outlets.
Yeah.
So I found that I did bring a little like converter to plug in my American appliances. Like kind of works, kind of doesn't. My hairdryer still did not work with that. Different voltage, I assume. But even though the outlets look very different here, if you have a lower voltage item, that you can still put your American appliance in and it works. It's probably not great for it. I wouldn't plug in my laptop or anything. But in a pinch, I was able to use my curling iron this morning.
And every hotel we've been in has had USB-A connection, so you can charge your phone or use USB-A devices. Some of the newer hotels have had USB-C. I would bring charging cables for both just in case. In fact, I'm very lucky that I brought both because some places it was harder to get that USB-C just because the hotel's a little older. So bring your charging cables and probably bring one of each, but don't worry, you can buy them locally and they're very reasonably priced.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's nice. This is a big country, so if you forget something, you don't have a business shirt, or you want to wear something different, or forgot your electric razor like I did, you can go down the street and pick one up. I picked up an electric razor for some $15 or something, and so you don't have to worry about, oh no, what if they don't have my thing? Just pick one up when you're here. You should be fine. They have all the niceties and comforts in the big cities that you're used to.
Yeah, for sure.
Did we have any other topics?
None that I can think of. You got anything else?
No, I would remind people to go ahead and click that subscribe and like button for us. We do appreciate that. If you have any commentary or we said anything wrong, leave a comment below. Be as angry as you like, but be respectful. And special thanks to Amy for putting together the outline for all the topics that we had to discuss today. We are uploading a lot of stuff from each city, each hotel, and our trip to Macau, as well as our airfare, so you can see what our seats look like and everything. So subscribe to the channel and check out all the other travel adventures. This year alone, we've been to places like Colombia, like Mexico, Thailand, Japan. We've been to Bangkok. We've been all sorts around the world, including Europe, Spain, France, Italy.
Costa Rica, the
Costa Rica.
Bahamas. Yeah.
So go ahead and click that subscribe button and follow us. Become our travel buddies around the world.
Absolutely. Thank you guys so much.
All right. Thanks for watching, and adios, amigos.